my name is Miranda, and today I am here to discuss the second episode of Coffin Run on Dimension 20. I am in love with this series, okay? It's only been 2 episodes. That might be a bold declaration, but I love everything about this season. I love the DM. I love all the characters. I love the players. I love the setting. I love the miniatures that they're using. I love it. So this episode picked off after a pretty big cliffhanger with Dracula getting half his face blown off in a cannonball, and then the gang was trying to figure out who this attack was coming from and the best way to get out of there. This was more of a retreat mission than a all-out brawl and destroy them mission because they were somewhat outnumbered, didn't really know who their opponent was, but I liked seeing them all go in combat for the first time. I feel like obviously Zach, Izzy, and Erica I've all seen in combat before, so I'm expecting, you know, the different play styles that they have, but I also feel like they're all playing very different characters than I'm used to seeing them, and that makes me excited, especially with all the added vampire stuff. We did learn in this one that Jasmine kind of added some of her own flavor to the rules and stuff like that, especially when it comes to vampirism, since they can't have like long rests or anything like that. So there's some fun little gift things that they get to do as extra turns and stuff, which was really, really fun. And then we also got to learn more about this lore of exactly what Dracula is doing and why these people want to kill Dracula, because they are vampires. It's the anti-vampire vampire club, which seems a bit counterintuitive that you'd want to kill the original sire, but they think that if they kill him, they will turn back to humans, which right away I'm like, probably not. Like, I'd like to know where they got that information, because everything that I have always read about that stuff in vampire literature is that you kill the original sire and the line dies off. So it would be curious though too if it's like, will it be like the original sire, all vampires would die, or would it be like only the ones he turned die? So then if like Squinch turned anyone, like Squeegee turned anyone, then his people would be fine or whatever. But yeah, I really like seeing them in combat, and I have to say I really love that this episode, or this whole season, is the first time in a while that they've gone back to using actual miniature, just because like this is probably the first time that they're actually all allowed to be in a room to make a miniature, and Rick Perry and his team have absolutely crushed it. Like, I really love the like old-fashioned-y effects of like when there's like fire, they use like I guess it would be like cotton balls or like yarn or something to like make it look like fire when the steam was coming out of the train. That was also like the kind of cotton ball effect again, and it just is really cool how they're using more of a like, not CGI and adding things in, but like, what is it, SFX, when like you actually like do the stuff, you know? Like, I've always been a super big, like, I love that kind of stuff over CGI. Like, I think it's amazing that like the shark from Jaws is an actual like shark model that they made and not just like a graphic thing that they designed. So I really, really like that, and the sets are so beautiful. We've really only seen the train so far, but just the depth of that and like all the details is so amazing that you were able to take the cover off the train station, get the different levels of the train station, take the walls down. Like, that's just so cool and interesting to me. And again, as much as I love like the visual sets, the digital ones that they had, I really did miss the physical sets. And even just like seeing Jasmine when the giant castle is like around, and how much it encompasses of the frame, I think really strikes in you like this forebodingness, this vampireness. It reminds me kind of mostly, I think, feel wise, of Mice and Murder, with just how like big that set was. But I also think that this is a good mixture, I would say, of Bloodkeeper and Mice and Murder. Like, I think if you combine those, this is like the baby. And vampires are hot right now, guys. Like, I feel like they kind of took a dip after, you know, Twilight and the oversaturation, but they're coming back, especially Dracula. Like, people are reading Dracula in like droves now. I just bought a copy of Dracula to read for the first time because apparently it's way funnier than you would expect, and it's not like what we've been told Dracula is at all. So this was actually like the perfect time to do a vampire thing. I didn't realize originally watching it that Izzy and Carlos's characters are humans. Like, I got that Carlos's was, but I did not get that Izzy's was till like, I was like, wait, why were they freaking out so much about like vampires defying the laws of science, and then like they're a vampire, but then I was like, they're still a human. There are the 4 characters. I love the 4 characters, and I love their interplay is so funny to me, because I kind of like how they don't all get along. Like, Zach's character is obviously thinks he's very like high and mighty and above them all, since he is like the second in command, the first turned vampire and all that. And I just love how like they don't seem to really get along, because I feel like they get along in a sense, but also like not in terms of like, remember the Vile Villains, how much like they got along and like really were a family, and how much that contributed to the end of the series and them not turning it into like a player versus player big brawl for the crown. Like I feel like watching this one, especially like at the end with everything coming out with Squinch eating the letters that were supposed to go to Alexander's wife and all that, like, and Carlos kind of, you know, going off on his own and having this whole like, with Wetzel being this kind of person who seems really cheery but then can flip on a dime and like has these really big rage issues. Like I feel like it could just lead to something very interesting in the last episode. I don't know how many episodes there actually are, but like I would just be very, I think it would be very funny if we had like a like Chutney level of like, remember when Chutney from Critical Role stabbed Santa and everyone was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like I feel like that's where we could get to. Like they could heal Dracula and then someone, because I do feel like any of them at this point could snap and actually kill him. Like May seemed to be very like keeping it together, but whoa, when Wetzel read the letter where he was like just talking down to Wetzel and I was like, and May, I can't stand the girl. I was like I'm a proponent right now. I know like they would die if Dracula dies, but I'm a proponent of like we need to like kill Dracula. Like, right? Like he's too hot for his britches right now. We need to take him down a few pegs, and I just think it's going to be interesting to see where that goes from there. I do think this episode was really, really cool because so much of it was combat, but then so much of it was them just kind of getting another letter, which we learn is like going to be like, I'm guessing their time unlock things of like, you reached this progress, now you get another letter that kind of helps you figure out what exactly you're supposed to be doing. I love Dimitri, the little cute familiar who was just like, I have the letter and I will not let you know what happened. Like, it was so cute. The whole thing with the letters was hysterical, where Squim was just like, I eat the letters, like what can I tell you? Obviously, and Alexander lost it. I love Alexander's character in general, how just like mad scientists they are, and how it's such a perfect role for Izzy because she leads into it so much. Like after I finished this episode, I no lie was talking in the accent for so long of being like, this is the point of anything, why should we care? Like it's just so funny how well she can, she's such a good physical comedian, you know, of just like acting out all the scenes. And like even when like she found out about the letters and her first reaction was that he stabbed himself in the leg, to be like, like it's really, really funny. And that's what I mean about like they're united by this kind of Dracula character. Like the Bloodkeeper players were united by their leader, and I feel like they're kind of realizing that like they all have tangential kind of relationships to him. Obviously wife, daddy, someone who studies him as a scientist and is just very fascinated by him, and also Wetzel, who has been promised that he will be turned, but I guess has also been tortured by him. I didn't pick that up till this episode, that's why his skin is like all flayed and stuff, is because he was tortured by Dracula or some vampires under Dracula's orders or something like that, but in return has been promised that he will be turned, and that isn't looking like it's not happening, obviously. So it'll just be interesting now that they're heading out to the castle to get Dracula healed, because I feel like that's where it could lead, of like they get him healed and then someone's like, never mind. Like Wetzel was full on ready to kill Dracula. I feel like May or Squib, I'm just going to call him Squeegee, but I feel like they could both totally turn on a dime and flip and kill him. I think it would be really interesting if Zach's character was the one that killed him, after how loyal he is and how like, you know, obviously we see and Zach sees, but like the character doesn't see how like Dracula doesn't really care about him or care for him. So I think it would be interesting if that realization finally hits the character and then he kind of snaps and becomes the new Vampire Supreme, even though again, how could you kill him without them killing themselves? So I feel like they're going to have to do something like that. Alexander did mention this one that he's kind of thinking of a way to, you know, bypass that step and make a potion that would turn you into a vampire. So I think that would be very interesting. It would also be interesting if like in the series Wetzel turned into a vampire, or Alexander, but I'm thinking Wetzel would be the one more, and then his stats change. I think that would be really, really cool. He's already got like the Bucky Barnes arm that he can do a lot of fun tricks with, but I just think adding in that layer would be really, really interesting of a big like character change in a contained story. Like I think that would be really, really cool. I love all the characters right now because I think they're just so funny, and each player's commitment to their character and how they would react in the situation is hysterical. Like particularly Izzy, I feel like is really just constantly makes me laugh. But like also I said Wetzel, how he's just like calm and seems so happy-go-lucky what we saw from him, but then he just like flips his shit every once in a while is so funny. And to see the letter and how that affected him was, I'm loving it. I feel like Jasmine is such a good DM. This is only the third DM I think we've had that isn't Brennan, and I really, really think she's amazing. Like the story she's created, but also the way she interacts and plays off the characters. Oh, like making Zarb a somewhat meta character who like knew what was going on, and then even Drago being like, I feel like a side character in the story of someone else's life. I'm like, this is like when your Sims get too, you know, when your Animal Crossing characters are like, do you ever wonder if like this is just all a game and someone's controlling it and you're like, I need to shut this down for now? Like that's just, oh, I really, really love it. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen once they get Dracula back, because I feel like, yeah, there's going to be something where like they're going to have to turn on him, and in doing so I feel like they're going to have to join together and become closer, because I feel like they don't all really trust each other right now, and I don't think they should, especially considering how much, you know, like Wetzel is, and I feel like May's holding a lot back too, and it's just going to be really interesting. So I am really, really loving it so far. If you've checked it out, please feel free to leave any thoughts, predictions for what's going to happen that you think down below in the comments. Also, make sure this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!